The last bus dropped Marcus off at the edge of Willow Creek, a village so small it barely registered on his GPS. As an archaeology graduate student, he'd visited remote locations before, but something about this place felt different. The mist clung to the ground like ghostly fingers, and the surrounding pine trees seemed to lean inward, as if listening. His research grant had brought him here to study what locals called the ancient circles, a series of mysterious stone formations dating back thousands of years. Previous researchers had abandoned their work here, citing personal reasons in their unfinished report. Marcus had laughed it off as rural superstition when he read about it. The elderly woman, at the only inn in town, kept making the sign of the cross when he mentioned his research plans. "The circles are best left alone, young man," she whispered, her weathered hands trembling as she handed him his room key. Some things were buried for a reason. That night, he couldn't sleep. The rain tapped against his window in an odd rhythm, almost like whispered words in a language he couldn't quite understand. The locals' warnings echoed in his mind. The full moon is coming. The earth remembers. They all come back on the full moon. At the dig site the next morning, Marcus discovered unusual markings carved into the stones, symbols that didn't match any known ancient script. As he traced them with his finger, the air grew thick with an oppressive silence. Even the birds had stopped singing. Deep in the main pit, his trowel struck something that made a hollow sound. Not stone, not pottery, something else. The object he unearthed was a small obsidian cube, covered in the same strange symbols he'd seen above. The moment he lifted it from the earth, the ground beneath his feet began to tremble. That's when he noticed them. The villagers, standing in a circle around the excavation site. Their eyes were completely black, and they swayed in perfect unison, chanting words that made his ears ring and his vision blur. The old innkeeper stood at their center, no longer trembling. "You've broken the seal," she said, her voice somehow both ancient and young. "After 1,000 years, you've finally broken it, and now they can return." The earth split open beneath Marcus's feet, and from its depths came sounds no human throat could make. As darkness poured from the pit like thick smoke, he finally understood why all those other researchers had fled. But for him, it was too late. The obsidian cube in his hands began to pulse with an inner light, and the symbols on its surface writhed like living things. The villagers' chanting reached a fever pitch, and Marcus felt something vast and ancient turn its attention toward him. Something that had been waiting in the dark for longer than humanity had walked the earth. As consciousness slipped away from him, Marcus heard the innkeeper's final words. "The seal must always be maintained, and it requires a sacrifice. They say, on quiet nights, when the rain falls in that strange rhythm, you can still hear him screaming from somewhere deep beneath the ancient circles. After all, some stories are meant to repeat themselves. Some seals must never be broken, and some knowledge is better left buried in the dark."
Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this eerie tale, don't forget to leave a like, and if you crave more chilling narratives, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Until next time.